Good morning all, welcome and excited to co-host this masterclass, Reimagining Guest-Facing Technology with Anshul Gupta, specialist in travel industry from Accenture Technology. How can we rethink, redesign and reimagine technology, positively impacting the guest experience? Technology is updating very quickly and we have to stay on the ball to not be left behind. It's not scary, but sometimes overwhelming what is in the market. Upfront to our presentation, I'm referring to some products and companies and I'm in no way affiliated or benefiting to showcase any of those products. Some I use in our resort, others I have reviewed. Sorry, Anshul, I think you're on mute.
Yes, certainly a pleasure to be here and good morning, everyone. I'm here along with Dominic and we are going to discuss technology for guest experience for sure, and specifically in ways that it enables superlative guest experience irrespective of the technology-led action being taken in front of house, back office, at the enterprise or wherever it happens. So we are going to explore a lot more together for you, and we'll be looking forward to questions towards the end of the session as well.
The key is to define how to approach and how to adopt technology in hospitality. There is an abundance of startups and products in the market. From a corporate level, technology is unfortunately slow to adopt due to approval processes and security concerns, but then great for streamlining and consistency across all over the brands. On a property level, quick to adapt, going through the stages of trial and error. Unfortunately, no brand consistency when a loyal guest is traveling from one hotel to another in the same chain, but using the unique selling point to set themselves apart from other hotels. Technology is changing so fast and so quickly. If you're an early adopter, it involves a lot of trial and error in fixing the bugs. At the same time, may not be accepted from the guests and wasted resources and money on a gadget. If you're a late adopter, then it is trialed and tested, but lag behind the industry and not able to change in development requirements. For me in hospitality, it's about the guest experience. We're here to serve, surprise, and make our guests memorable stays. That includes seamless service from our team. Technology is to support our team to enable better service flow, easier communication, and upsell opportunities at the finger click, making our guests' life easier and saving the owners money in the long term. Looking at the highest expense, payroll, and the impact areas, guest experience, this is where my current focus is, to deliver a win-win tech solution in our hospitality industry.
And rightly said, Dominic. Tech can be adopted at the hotel in isolation or across the brand, and maybe some technologies can be adopted early in the infancy stages of tech or later after being proven. There are pros and cons for each of those. However, one thing is kind of more true than ever before for technology, that it's no longer just a support function. It's becoming the enabler of efficiency, enabler of new revenue streams, enabler of business models, and enabler of great experiences. And I'm sure as we move forward, we'll discuss a lot more about it.
So where to start with technology? You know, there's so much in the market. There's so many different applications, and it requires to review how it is applicable to each hotel. What is the short-term and long-term goal using those technologies? Is it for the wow factor and requires an overhaul in 1 to 3 years? Is it lasting, and how much maintenance does it require? How will it be kept up to date? How is it integrated into the property management system, or is it used as a standalone? Is it just a fad or taking off? What risk is involved? There's so many different gadgets out there and our technology applications. So interesting to see how the industry is moving forward. Critical is to start thinking, when do I start to implement technology? How do I do it? It's critical to adopt the tech enhancement in the design and building phase or in the refurbishment phase. So for example, the LED interactive floors have been adopted in some hotels and bringing new visual opportunities. Having the waves in the corridor, driving the emotional senses. How do you feel when you have the waves slowly going through the corridor and you're just leaving your room in the morning? That gives you a feel of a holiday. Have some corridor speakers enhancing the visual with the audio. Innovative and unique effect for early adopters. This is making an impact which will flow through on social media, promoting your resort. A highlight, as long as it's new, very important to set ourselves apart in today's world. On the other side, how is the cost and servicing? And that needs to be reviewed as well, and may be challenging in the long term to upkeep, especially in tropical areas with high level of humidity can be challenging. Where are spare parts or exchange coming from? Can it be replaced in-house, or do you need a specialist? Looking back, at the room key, everyone uses room keys. The evolution is very visual in the past 30 years. Keyless entry has been around for many years, not taken off as such. Implementation cost is high and guest usage is limited. Just imagine going out and get back to the hotel room and the mobile phone battery is flat. I was looking at the project to retrofit our door locks. Our resort is 4 years young and it was possible with the current locks. No need to change the locks, just add a Bluetooth connector in it, but cost was high and owners declined. This would have been great for us as an early adopter to set ourselves apart. At a later stage, I've seen the implementations and it requires a couple of steps on your mobile phone to get it connected before you can open the door. So why not just use to swipe the RFID card? Hilton has some properties already and Accor just announced to implement it, but at current it's slow in the rollout. For a new property, we'd definitely have it from the start. But if you just look at the evolution from the manual key to the magnetic strip card to the RFID and now the keyless entry, there is great opportunities to come and to drive this further. Another interesting project and opportunity with technology is the application in the rooms, smart rooms. Love this. Using technology to save cost in energy and maintenance, but as well long-term property maintenance saving, and for sure the guest experience. Many different providers in the market, and great to see technology can help us to manage cost and the environmental impact at the same time. Smart room systems are managing electricity in your room on all levels. Movement sensor in the room to check if a guest is in the room or not. Possible to set the time frame on when to operate the motion control and turn off when there is nighttime. Guest is sleeping, the sensor is off for air control. During daytime, it is in motion sensor. If the guest is in the room, it is as per the setting of the guest. If the guest is not in the room, it goes back to an ambient temperature. So there is energy savings there. If the guest comes back, temperature goes back to the guest setting. How often do you leave the room key in the electrical power control switch to keep the power going as you're charging a phone or keep the room cool when you step out of the room, or you just forget? This is not only controlling the aircon and lighting, but as well the humidity levels in empty rooms. How often do we have the problems in Asia with moldy rooms? The system will drive in auto mode in an empty room to ensure that humidity levels are kept in an acceptable range. This system looks after it, and further, it supports engineering to preventive maintenance. When an aircon is not at its best performance levels, an email alert will be sent out to the engineering department to check out the specific unit.
Yeah, and I know these are quite a wide variety of things that can happen in terms of smart rooms or connected rooms. These can also lead to multifold savings when applied to larger common areas, even beyond rooms and just rooms. For example, air conditioning can be automatically optimized for maximum comfort, safety, and energy savings in hotel lobbies, corridors, gyms, restaurants, based on the time of the day. If the weather is cooler outside, you don't need as much of chilling in the common areas. It could be automatically controlled. Even occupancy levels, right? So at certain time of the day, you will have a lot more people hitting the gym versus other parts of the day. So without any human intervention, all of this can be controlled automatically. Obviously, it will lead to safety, energy savings, maximum comfort, and so on. Now, connecting more and more of such intelligent controls to the building management system, which in whichever form, maybe very advanced, maybe not as advanced, some kind of a building management system exists in every hotel, every company, every building, every office. If such intelligent controls, right from corridors and gyms and restaurants and rooms, all of this could be connected into the building management system. It may come at an initial cost, but it is a worthwhile investment because it does pay itself very soon in terms of the savings. It is now a default inclusion in most major hotel constructions which are happening now. Even if the full implementation may happen in the future, but at least the provision of it has already happened in the major hotel construction, which is happening today. So that's an important thing to look at as well.
Yeah, look, Angela, I agree. I think, the opportunities are endless. It's not just a smart room. It just then continues and goes through the whole building. And the key thing is really the long-term savings you get out of this, and as well, better control of how the systems are used, the air column, the chillers, and it's then just reducing the cost to it.
Yeah, completely agree, Dominic. Yeah.
So moving on to another subject in technology is automated robots. Robots have lately gained traction again and interesting discussion points in the industry. At current in application as a novelty, in Singapore, there is Yotel, which has introduced well before the pandemic a robot for room service delivery, and everyone just orders for the first time experience. My first experience was many years ago in London, a robot as the mixologist behind the bar, which made basic cocktails, a novelty in those days. The bar was packed and everyone ordered a drink from the robot. Stepping away from the novelty into the commercial aspects with robots will come in handy where the structures allow. So, if it's a building which has easy access and ways, there it will be very easy to work with robots. Where buildings have limitations with stairs and outdoors, separate buildings, then it may be a different challenge. So, where can robots be used? Auto disinfection of areas to prevent from COVID, which is really topical at the moment. For guest information in the lobbies, in production lines to reduce manpower requirements and have consistency for production lines in the kitchen and so on. Laundry, folding towels, and so on. There is the opposition for sure, asking where is the guest experience? I want the interaction to end in the end. It is hospitality, right? So, if I want to go to a hotel, I want to have human service and not be serviced from a robot. But then why do we need a waiter who orders food, has to go to the kitchen and picks up the food and drinks, where actually a robot can deliver from the kitchen to or close to the table, and then the waiter can serve. In this instance, the waiter has more quality time for the guest, less labor required, efficiencies, increase in guest satisfaction as there is more attention time from the waiter. Different trains of thoughts here, but as well, a good space to watch in the future.
Absolutely, Dominic. You started with saying it's more of a novelty, right? I completely agree to that. I mean, it's still some time where robots are going to actually become mainstream in hotels and hospitality, while it is already mainstream in distribution, warehouses, manufacturing, and for several years. It's just getting more advanced. So on the novelty aspect, I agree. The earliest famous implementations included, when Aloft Hotels introduced bottler for room service to deliver towels and whatever else to the rooms. And then there was this miniature robot that Hilton had introduced as a front desk concierge named Connie. I think it's several years back these were introduced. While, as I said, it is already mainstream in other industries, and even for hotel and hospitality, there are certain areas you touched upon as well, where it could actually lead to, even higher safety levels, even, better comfort for the guests and so on. A few areas that come to my mind, it could be mobile video surveillance that can happen across the property for large resorts. It could be intrusion detection. It could be improper parking identification. And it's not just static cameras which can do that. These robots which actually can walk around the property in common areas, unattended areas, darker areas, corners of the fences, and so on and so forth. And it can also automatically dispatch essentials like, towel, water, first aid, whatever is required in large resorts where, to informing a particular staffer to actually send it over there is going to be maybe, not cost efficient. At the same time, it might take a little bit for you to find out who is available to send it out, right? A robot can automatically dispatch without any human intervention. So I think there are possibilities are a lot. It is going to evolve over time as the capabilities of robotics also improves, and we will see many of these even beyond novelty. Yeah. By the way, Dominic, if I may just kind of digress a little bit, and you did mention about the mixology which you saw earlier. Recently, I think last week I saw a video making rounds about food being cooked by robots in the restaurant kitchens, right? So maybe just what was your feeling when you first saw the mixologist, right? I mean, even if you want a drink or not, just for the experience of getting it from a robot, you would have tried it, no?
Yeah, look, I think, in that time, well, it's nearly 20 years ago, but in those days, it was just so unusual, so unseen. But coming from the industry, for me, like, whoa, there is cost control in it. There is, a nip is a nip. And when a robot is doing it, there is no error in it. So I think from that aspect, it was really an interesting way to look at it, at cost savings. But then you see how long the time has gone from those days where it was implemented to where we're seeing now in production lines. And I've seen, in bakeries where they have, instead of a human taking the trays into the shelf, there's a robot who automatically can allocate, okay, that's the next shelf, and it goes into the next shelf on the trolley. So there is great ways to move forward if there is mass production. And, as I highlighted in one of the first slides, the biggest thing is the payroll nowadays in hospitality. And when you look at the payroll costs, well, where can we support this with robots to drive that in? And that's where you're coming back, with the, I'm not sure which video you saw. There is a few went through. There is one with doing the egg station for the breakfast. There was another one doing the different rice dishes for lunch, fried rice dishes, and so on. So there is definitely application. I don't believe it's a, one fits all. I think it's really customized to the hotel. And we start the next 2 to 5 years, the prices may be high, but as soon as this is getting more accustomed, techniques and is getting more adapted, I think there it's really, opportunities coming our way, which we not should just sit back and say, no, that's not for us. And, that's the one part hospitality always have, right? We're very slow in adapting change. We're very slow in moving forwards. And, it's when we had our pre-talk, we talked about this with the radio alarm clock. Why is a radio alarm clock still in a hotel room as a brand standard for international hotels, where everyone has a mobile phone? So, I think will be very similar with robots. At the moment, it's more novelty, but as more this is adapted and changed, then it's moving forward, and we will see great applications in the industry to go through.
Yeah.
Then let's look at, other aspects of technology. And this is as well one which has been long-term be seen to be coming. And yes, it has taken off a little bit, but not to its full extent. And I really think there is more opportunities in that. So on the marketing side, which is, yes, it's still guest impact, because that's the pre-booking stage where we talk about our hotels in the world. So in that aspect, 10 years ago, it was all about 360 video photography. So let the potential guests see how your hotel is looking from the distance on your website. Or then when the iPads came up, there was the new sales tool. So you could show them walking through the hotel when meeting with wholesale agents. In the hotel I worked in those days, we had a big open lobby and a lot of walk-ins from the street. It's a resort destination, so very famous part, walking street, and we had a lot of guests just out of interest coming in. So instead of having our front office team member showing the rooms to the guests and walking and opening different rooms, we were able to have a big touch screen in the lobby, which in those days was a novelty too, which had a 360 walk through the resort and the different room types. This was an amazing tool in those days, enabled our team to be with the guest, but the walking time just have been taken away. So instead of walking a guest through the corridor, through the different buildings to the room, it was just a huge touch screen the guest could go through. There was other features on this touch screen as well, so guests could send postcards by email and so on. So, and make photos and include them on the background. So, it was really good in those days. The times have gone by, and instead of having the iPad for the sales team, it is now having VR technology and the use of VR goggles. Make it 4-dimensional even. Let them walk through a tour of your resort And then when they look and go virtually to the pool area, have someone jump into the pool on the video or on the VR video, and then splash some water gently on them. Well, that will make the unique, memorable experience of the presentation. I've seen many offers around that as well, depends on your direction. For our resort, we work mainly on OTAs and direct business, so it's not really applicable, and I'm not using it. But if it is more wholesale driven and going to lots of trade shows, then for sure, great way to be different, and for sure a talk of town at the trade show. I mean, you see the photo, which you may ask on the presentation, you know, why is there a roller coaster ride on it? This was my first experience with VR goggles. I wasn't really attracted to it very strongly, but you know, with the kids, we went to Legoland in Malaysia, and there was a VR roller coaster ride, and it was just absolutely stunning. You know, you see the Lego go-kart, and everyone has the virtual goggles on, and then the roller coaster goes off, and you're driving through a virtual fairy landscape. Absolutely timed, fantastic experience. It is how those technologies are applied in our industry, and you know, I think especially from a marketing point of view, has great future, great opportunities.
Yeah, and you know, there have been things that have been introduced for quite a few years. 2015, Marriott introduced V-Room devices for guests to watch immersive destination videos sitting in the room. You could take it from the front desk. Similarly, Qantas Airlines introduced similar VR experiences from home if you wanted to explore, you know, what the you know, business class seat is going to look like, and so on and so forth. And now that not many people are flying, I think earlier this week, Emirates had launched immersive in-flight virtual reality tour for you to enjoy if you are on board a flight. So when everyone is trying to do whatever they can from a marketing standpoint using virtual reality, augmented reality, so the Pokemon Go really made it big stream.
Yeah, no, so you know, it's those things which are changing, but it's slow to adopt, but definitely will take off coming down the track.
Yeah.
If we're looking at guest communications, you know, there is apps, there is QR codes, there is RFID, and I joined Wyndham Grand Phuket just over 3.5 years ago, and you know, team culture, guest communication is key for me. In every hotel I've worked, I've made sure to be present with guests, mainly at breakfast, as there's the highest amount of guests to talk to, get feedback and offer recommendations. What I see lately at breakfast comes with a shock to me. Lots of guests are consistent on their mobile phones. I guess it's not just at breakfast, that's happening all around us. So it's not up to me to judge, but to embrace the guest behavior. So from that side, we looked at a hotel app, and we looked at the different pros and cons. Shall we develop it ourselves? Shall we buy a shell, or shall we have a company doing it already and have it customized to our resort? We went with the third option, and in our case, this is Handigo. Wasn't the cheapest compared to, you know, if you just go for a shell, but it definitely has the best flexibility for us that we could move on. We believe leaving it to the experts to continuously upgrade, and we pay a monthly fee. Costs a bit more, but we're continuously getting updates and have full product support. Selling to the owners was all about extra incremental revenue for the spa, room service, and tours, where actually for me, it was driving the guest communication. The guests can chat with our team in their own language, translate it into English, and the team responds in English and then goes back to the guest language. Amazing feedback and great results. And the guests love to communicate by mobile phone, as we've seen all the time. Glad we've been ahead of this on Phuket. When the pandemic hit, lots of hotels had to change for contactless service and remove compendiums and in-room collateral. We had a big step ahead of the competitors, just trying to set up, training the team with reduced manpower and sorting out the initial bugs. Especially during the pandemic, the QR codes got a revival and some traction too. Benefit not to download compared to the app. And just later, I talked with Jeff, the GM from Wonderpass in Cambodia previous week. He's doing the RFID wristband technology. I have used this 20 years ago on a ski lift in the mountains, and they give a complete overhaul, not just as a pass. For us on the ski lift, there was just a pass to get access, where instead of showing with the cold hands the ticket to get through and to get onto the ski lifts. With the system they're doing now, you can have spa offers loaded up, restaurant offers loaded up to your RFID wristband. And then at the same time now with COVID, they're enabling it to have vaccine records uploaded, PCR test results uploaded. So when you go through the immigration airport, they have a booth before where you pre-load it before you flight, you pick it up there and then you go through. So a great way as well to combat COVID. So different ways. It all depends what you want to drive and what type of property you are. For example, in our resort, where guests stay for 4 days or more, the guests do not have a problem to download the app, install, and after the stay, delete it. Whereas in a city hotel, average length of stay just over 1 night or 2 nights, guests are on business travel in a rush. They don't want to download an app. In outlets, it's as well easier to just have a QR code on the table and you get quick access to your menu. But staying in a resort and every time I need something, I have to go and get a QR code can get annoying too. Different guest demographic require different application. Find what works for you. Then the next topic, artificial intelligence. Where does artificial intelligence bring us in hospitality? From my experience in the past, nothing worse when I go on a website and try to connect with a company and the only way you have is an avatar. I'm biased just because of my previous bad negative experience with airlines and banks. But, I always say it's moving on, so we have to move on. So I've lately looked into it again. There are actually more and more useful avatars, and hopefully with artificial intelligence, they're learning and get better and better, not just a standard response. Where to use avatars is where you get a lot of questions. Websites for pre-booking information. Try to find information on a hotel website. Do you have a babysitter? Until when is the restaurant open? How far away from the airport by taxi? Try to find this on a hotel website. Websites are full of information, but often, fair to say, not really well done. They look beautiful, have great pictures, but for the consumer side, to find anything specific is a nightmare. So avatars can help there to help and guide to the items you're looking for, learning from all the questions asked and can improve over time. Some of the brands are using it on the direct guest communication. Maybe not my thing. I prefer to have the instant responses through the app. But as I shared before, every property is different. If I have a question, I expect the right response in a timely manner. And then when getting onto an avatar and after the third failed attempt, getting connected and then pushed to the call center and then reconnected to a department. Hence why for me, the app with language capability is just working great. But absolutely would consider for the website. Same with Siri and Alexa. They're limitations, but they're getting better and better and better. So that is for sure a tech space to watch. Talk to QuickText, a founder of hospitality-driven focused avatar. They have been very successful to launch their Velma avatar on hotel websites. Additional helps to collect data for retargeting and data collection for future marketing too. There's a masterclass as well on AI 1:30 Singapore time with Benjamin De Visme for QuickText, who will talk further in his masterclass only on AI.
Yeah, we should look forward to that. Dominic, this is a game changer. Now, it is getting so popular for the right reasons. I know we do have the negative connotation as well. Many times people say, is AI going to take over the human decisions, human actions, and so on and so forth? But I'm not getting into that debate right now. Only our imagination is the limit. From a guest experience to revenue management to property operations, AI is transforming the hospitality industry. If I really think about it, there's not a single big or small hotel brand who may not be working on any kind of AI, whether it is chatbots or decision making or whatever that is. AI application ranges from just conversations to visual identification of problems or identification of people to intelligent actions for inventory, staff scheduling. The possibilities with AI are really, really immense, right?
Yeah, there's great ways. And, if we're looking now, may not be guest facing directly, but indirectly, absolutely great tools with technology for the guest experience. Sarah is a back of house app. Just funny, when 20 years ago, you've not been allowed to take your mobile phone into the kitchen or onto your shift in housekeeping. And now it is, why did you not respond on the message? Make sure the battery is not flat. We have our full team on the Zara app, and it's driving guest satisfaction without any guest interaction. Remember the days when the housekeeper had to call back to the housekeeping clerk and update when the room was finished? The evolution with the quick dial from the guest room telephone to update the room status came. Well, now this can be all enabled with technology. We can further track as well lost and found items in the room, engineering requests for light bulbs to be changed, a leaking tap, front office, a guest room safe to be opened after checkout, F&B to clear room service tray, or in our case, floating breakfast trays, gardener where there is trees to be trimmed outside. And this is not top down. This is really from team member to another team member in a different department. So, it's all done with a photo, short description of the area, location, automatically routed to the person on the shift in the other department, in the specific department, and escalated if not responded to the next level. It's all trackable, all escalated when not addressed. Efficiency is improved, guest happiness increased, and then the team is more productive. Love those tools. Zara has as well preventive maintenance scheduler and as well proactive routine scheduler for engineering and fire life safety, taking all these massive monthly check sheets away. Where does that bring us? So, with the future, where can we go with that? And the one thing we know for sure, technology is going fast ahead, and if we're not on the journey, we're left behind. And this may work for some places, but guest expectations are continuously changing. All these tech items are great enhancement for the guest experience and is enabling a better future for our guests and our teams and make more profitable bottom line. The biggest challenge is how is it embedded with the system and able to be connected? Are the systems talking to each other? Do you want to download an app for the keyless entry? Another app to manage the room controls, aircon, lighting, TV, and sound? An app for guest communications or orders, or just all in one app? That's where consolidation and partnerships are formed at current. So it's an interesting time. We're in the past couple of years, there was a lot of startups and entrepreneurs doing one item. Consolidation and partnerships enabling now to get it all into one super guest app. Or you can purchase section by section, depending of the hotel's requirement. Then it's the connectivity to property management system. Overall, that's easy done and has the benefits for direct billing, but for safety and security, this has to go through a lot of hurdles in international companies. And these technologies have not been used on corporate level. It needs a lot of jumping through the hoops, but it can be done. So, download one app, have room key cards, aircon, lighting control, TV remote, early check-in registration cards, all done through one application, including cashless payments. Opportunities are endless, and this is where the biggest benefit with technology is for our hospitality industry. Stay up to date and drive the future. As many of us in hospitality always say, it's lifelong learning, and that includes guest-facing technology. So that's already bringing us to the end. To the question and answer time. And thank you, Anshul, as well, for this lively input. So back to the InnoFact team with questions. Are there any questions?
So there is a question that I can see in the chat, Dominic, that has come up. It says, will technology make my hotel guests feel safer? So really a short one, yes. Absolutely. There are many ways. I mentioned about robotics, how it can help with video surveillance. It not necessarily robotics, it could be video intelligence that can be in the hotel itself. It could be the ways in which you will have better comfort and not just safety. It could be contactless technologies where you will have a touchless check-in experience, which will make you feel safer. There are many ways in there. Dominic, you want to add?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree what you say, Anshul. And it's, there is different technologies, there is different aspects of this. So if you look at, the surveillance, what you share on one side, but then on the other side, from the guest communication point, that's where I see the biggest benefit for us. We have we have 19 different buildings over 7 drives, so quite a big area perched on the hill. So with that, communication is just so much easier. So that will really help us and the guests to communicate efficiently. There's no more language barrier, that helps as well. So yeah, I believe in it, that, it's for the guests a benefit to feel safer, to be able to communicate quicker and easier. I agree. I think that is absolutely the benefit with technology. So I don't see any more questions coming through. Anshul, did you?
No, I think we are good for now. I know there may be several other questions. Just in the interest of time, we will probably have to wrap up the masterclass for now. And I'm sure, I mean, you and I probably can answer the questions offline if there are any that are received by the team.
Yes. So look, thank you for listening to us both. And if there's any questions, please reach out to us. So through the Innovac show, our details are on there, and more than happy to respond to any questions in that aspect. Oops, sorry, I just saw another question coming through. I'll just catch that quickly. My question that the app must integrate with PMS, no. You can, and for sure it will be a great way, and will make it more efficient. But because I'm working in international chain, and we were the trial, as a trial, we've done it, and at the same time, I just wanted to get it done and didn't want to jump through the hoops, going back to the US security team and so on. So we stayed away from connecting it to the PMS. So how it works is the guest can pre-download the app onto the phone, or we do it at check-in. So in Thailand, you have to ask for the passport. So instead of looking at the back of somebody making the copy of the passport or scanning it in, during that time, we ask the guest to download it. And we have a QR code for each room. So during the guest stay, we don't see the name on it. We don't see who is talking to us, but we see which room number is talking to us. For the billing, we know which room to charge it to. And at the end, at the guest checkout, we close it out through the system. So absolutely ways to manage it from both sides. And that was one of the big challenges for me to, as you know, Wyndham has worldwide over 9,000 hotels. And as a standalone starting this, for me, it was easier to disconnect it from the PMS and make it happen. We had great support from Hendigo to enable this. But we know they have worked with Opera as well, and they're easy to work with HMS to integrate it to the PMS. But no, I'm working as a standalone outside. Okay, then thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the Innovac show.